Okay, so before I start this story, I want to give some context. I grew up in a town called Luther, Michigan, in the middle of the Manistee Forest. I'm talking small, like a population of 300 people. I lived with my grandpa at the time, and we lived in a small one bedroom cabin he built deep in the woods. And to even get to it, you need to drive down a like 2 mile, two track. So, needless to say, unless you know who my grandpa is or your family, no random person is going to accidentally walk into the front yard out there. So, now I painted the picture. Let me tell you the story. I must have been about 7 to 8 years old, or so as I said it, was a small one bedroom cabin. So, my bedroom was actually the living room. And we had this giant window looking out the front area of the house. During the day, you could see the driveway, the shed, my grandpa's project cars and trucks and various farm stuff we had. But at night, pitch black. Like someone put a black blanket over the entire house. My bed was positioned right up against the window, so I'd be sleeping right next to this window. As I said, it's small, so space was a premium. So I'd just curl up my back against the window and fall asleep. I was a pretty heavy sleeper as a kid, so I'd be out the whole night. One night, after I said my prayers and got ready for bed, my grandpa tucked me into the bed and sat by the fire to read his Bible. Most nights he'd read his Bible till I fall asleep, then go back to his room and go to sleep himself. But this night was different. Was no different. He got in his chair and took out his Bible and started to read, so I slowly fell asleep. I must have been asleep for maybe 3 to 4 hours when I woke up. My grandpa fell asleep in the chair and my back was hurting, so I turned around to my other side. So now my face was staring out the window. And I was about to just close my eyes and go back to bed when I swear I saw a silhouette of what looked like a man standing right outside the window. Keep in mind, it was already pitch black out there, so that means he would have to be standing right like inches away from the glass. At first, I thought I was seeing things, so I blinked a few times and it was still there. I remembered feeling super scared, and I don't move. Maybe I thought if I didn't move, whoever it was would think I was asleep and just leave. But the shadow didn't leave. And once my eyes adjusted, I could in fact make out a man with a stubble standing practically right up against the glass. Again, I didn't move. The man then kneeled down where his face was at level with mine and looked right at me. I fucking started crying so bad I was shaking, and that woke my grandpa up. When my grandpa got out of his chair, the man took off into the woods. My grandpa came over and started to rub my back and asked what was wrong. I told him what I saw. Now, I had a rough childhood, and if I lied to anyone, I'd get my ass beat. So he knew I wouldn't make this up. My grandpa turned on the house lights, went to his room, and came back with a shotgun and went outside. He was out there for probably 10 minutes, but it felt like hours. And he came back in, his face spooked. My grandpa was a Green Beret in Vietnam. He doesn't care. He doesn't scare like at all. But he was freaked out. He came over to me and said he'll stay up with me tonight. He even let me watch TV all night, which he never let me do. And the whole night he sat facing the door of the cabin with the shotgun. The morning came and the first thing he did was put the curtains over all the windows. Then we went outside, and sure enough there were footprints in the dirt leading into the deep woods. After that, I wasn't allowed to play in the woods alone anymore, and my grandpa moved my bed away from the window. Now about a week later or so, my grandpa was watching the news after dinner and there was a story about a recently escaped prisoner that was found near Becky Trail outside Luther. The two track that led to my cabin was Becky Trail. He was hiding out in the hunting shack about a mile away from where we were. To this day, being alone in the woods at night scares the shit out of me.
Damn. That's kind of weird, honestly.
No joke, because when we went to our friend's house, because our friend lives like in the woods pretty much. A dirt road you have to go up to. Nuts. Bro,
Yeah.
it is pitch black out there.
You remember the time that I was driving? I decided to turn off the lights to see how it was just so pitch black and it looks like we're in a horror movie and I can't imagine just living there, especially being close to a window like in the middle of nowhere, like basically like that, and just seeing a silhouette of someone like that's horrifying.
No joke. It's like, and plus there's like nothing around you.
You know,
And that's
neighbors
what
to
makes it even
scream.
worse
Ah,
because, oh, just absolutely terrifying.
I
Like, what
I
would you even
can't
do in
do
that
it.
situation?
I mean,
You kind of,
unless if you're armed, sure. But what happens if you're not armed? You know, not everyone wants to be armed because you know like gun violence and stuff like that. But still, if you got nothing to protect you, like what can you do in that situation? You know?
yeah. And especially if you live in these woodsy areas, bro, even if it's not a person, even if it's just a bear or any animal, you want to be able to, protect yourself.
Yeah, and it's probably gonna be more of this and like more of these
Stories.
these posts. Yeah.
But hey,
Well,
I think that was a pretty good one.
and that was from
Uh,
dude,
Expected Texas 52, The Man in the Woods.
from Creepy Encounters. Reddit is fun. 1510. A creepy experience on up roadways bus. I wanted to share a very creepy experience from today. I was traveling with my sister from Lucknow to another city in up railways bus. We boarded the bus around 5 p.m. in the evening. I was very tired, so I dozed off for a while. My sister was awake. After some time, she noticed an uncle sitting in the opposite row, diagonally across from us. With some distance between the seats, he kept staring at me from the corner of his eye, and almost so at another girl who was sitting right in front of us. When my sister noticed this, she immediately woke me up and asked me to stay alert because his behavior seemed a little off. Even after we ignored him, we realized he kept watching us in a very creepy manner. He was moving his body and legs awkwardly, most probably touching himself or trying to constantly changing seats, trying to sit near us, and repeatedly attempting to interact with the girl sitting in front of us as well. He looked like he was in his 50s at most. He had some medicines in his pocket, Chandan on his forehead, and his phone wallpaper looked like it had a baby on it. What makes it even more disturbing is this man is probably someone's husband, father, or even grandfather. What's sad is that nobody around us noticed him or what he was doing. This kind of behavior has sadly become so normal that people don't even pay attention unless it happens to them or someone close to them. He kept doing this for 2 hours. When he finally got off the bus, he had this creepy grin on his face because he knew nothing was going to happen to him. What's also upsetting is society still expects women to avoid, ignore, change seats or routes, or dress modestly to prevent situations as if it would help. Men like this would stare even though burqas or leggings that responsibility should be on that people who make other comfortable in the first place, not on women keeping adjusting. I even tried to record him so I would have proof in case something happened, or he tried to make a move. Can't share the evidence here due to safety and legal reasons. We felt extremely unsafe and just wanted to reach home as soon as possible. Thankfully, we reached home safely. I just wanted to share this here as a reminder for my other girlies. Please stay alert, trust your instincts, carry pepper spray or other safety tools, and never feel afraid of jackasses like this. Stay safe. Personally, I'm a guy, never had this experience, but
Yeah, same here.
but
But it's definitely still a problem.
it is a problem that people are just ignoring or don't have that well of a awareness like OP's sister and sensing danger before it happens, you know?
Yeah. And then the blame always gets shifted, you know?
Yeah, the everyone just blames the woman, the girl. It's their fault for dressing like this. It's not always the case. People can be weird no matter what they do or
Yeah,
no matter what they wear. They can wear from a towel. They could be attracted. It doesn't really matter, but still, this stuff shouldn't be
regardless.
this stuff shouldn't be ignored. It should be addressed sometimes, but not for like saying the girl is the problem. No, it's most likely the person that's doing this.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, just the fact that it was happening to multiple people on the bus and then nothing really happened is wild.
Not even the bus driver helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably he
And
was
this
paying
probably
attention.
happens way more, even without this story necessarily. This probably happens a lot. And it just never gets brought up.
I know most people are afraid to share their own experiences, but they should show others their experiences so they can learn from their mistakes.
Yeah, and they can share their experience and get some advice on all this stuff.
Exactly. It's like
Because
no
it's
one
nice to know people that went through similar experiences to you and how to handle it, you know?
and no one's alone.
Yeah,
Everyone's together. That's what we should do as a society is work together and try to fix all these issues.
indeed. Because really, people shouldn't have to be worrying about this type of stuff when they're just.
Try to live their lives.
I'm a night shift security guard for a tunnel that doesn't appear on any map. I took the job because it paid $40 an hour, and all I had to do was sit in a booth and watch a monitor. No experience required. The only catch? I had to work the 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. shift at Site 9, a service tunnel cut into the side of a mountain in the middle of nowhere. On my first night, my supervisor, a guy named Miller, who looked like he hadn't slept since the 90s, handed me a laminated sheet of paper. Don't lose this, he said, and don't get creative. If the rules say sit, you sit. I laughed, thinking he was just an old school hardhead. Then I read the rules. 1. Keep the gate closed. No vehicles are authorized to enter or exit between 11 p.m. and 3:30 a.m. If a car approaches, do not speak to the driver, turn off your booth lights, and look at the floor until they leave. 2. Ignore the scraping. The tunnel is concrete. Concrete doesn't breathe. If you hear a rhythmic scraping coming from the tunnel vent, turn up the radio. 3. The 2 a.m. check. At exactly 2 a.m., a man in a yellow, high visibility vest will walk out of the tunnel. He will ask you for a cigarette. Give him one. Do not look at his hands. He doesn't have fingers. 4. The mirror rule. If you see your own reflection in the booth window and it's smiling while you are not, leave the booth immediately and stand in the rain. It doesn't like the rain. I sat there for the first few hours listening to the wind. At 11:15 p.m., a black SUV pulled to the gate. I almost opened my mouth to ask for ID, but I remembered rule 1. I killed the lights and stared at my boots. The driver started honking. Then the honking turned into a scream, a loud, mechanical screeching that sounded like metal being torn apart. It lasted for 10 minutes. When I finally looked up, the SUV was gone. There was no tire tracks in the dirt. At 1:30 a.m., the scratching started. It was coming from the air vent right above my head. It sounded like someone was trying to sharpen their fingernails on the inside of the metal grate. I turned my radio to the static filtered rock station and cranked it until my ears hurt. Then came 2 a.m. The man in the yellow vest walked out of the darkness of the tunnel. He moved with a strange, jerky gait, like a puppet on strings. He tapped on the glass. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a Marlboro, and slid it through the tray at the bottom. Got a light heat rasp. I kept my eyes locked on his chin. As he reached for the cigarette, I saw his hands out of the corner of my eye. They weren't hands, they were long, pale sticks of bone, sharpened to fine points. That's what the scratching was. Thanks, he said, and he turned back into the tunnel. I was shaking, but I couldn't figure out I was almost done. Only 2 hours left. I leaned back inside. Looking at the window, the reflection of the booth was clear in the dark glass. I saw the desk, the radio, and myself. My reflection was leaning forward. It was grinning so wide at the corners of his mouth, reaching his ears. It raised a hand with 5 normal fingers, and began to slowly unlock the booth from the outside. I didn't think. I bolted. I threw the door open and ran into the freezing downpour. I stood there, drenched to the bone, staring into the booth. My reflection was still inside, standing there where I had been, staring at me through the glass with a horrific smile. It looked disappointed. I stayed in the rain until 4 a.m. when Miller showed up. He didn't ask why I was wet. He just looked at the booth, then at me. Good job, he muttered. Most people don't make it past the cigarette guy. I quit that morning. I didn't even wait for my paycheck. But now every time I look in the mirror, my reflection is just a second too slow to follow my movements. And sometimes, when it's quiet at night, I hear a faint scream coming from the vents in my apartment. I think I brought something back with me, or maybe the reflection that left the booth wasn't me at all. Man, well, that was an interesting story.
Ah,
Well, one of our friends actually just joined while we were in the middle of reading this. It was actually the friend who was lives in the woodsy area, which brings us back to like the I believe it was the first story we read during this video
it was.
about. But yeah, this story right here reminds me of those those horror films on YouTube, like the short films.
N- Yeah, and there's some indie games that they have a similar concept of that, you know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I think there was a game that you had to check if a person was a skinwalker entering the building or not, you know.
Yeah, that's a big one. But
But
not to mention that, I would have probably been done at the. I would have definitely forgot one of these rules and been done for.
same here. There's no denying that.
Ugh,
It's like Freddy Fazbear, like all over again. But
pretty
like,
much.
oh shoot, all these paranormal stuff that's happening. Yikes! Cannot not imagine doing that.
But dang, after going through all that, he left without the paycheck. I would have definitely at least got my paycheck before I left.
Honestly, it's same. I mean, even though it wasn't worth the money dealing with that experience, yeah, as might as well get paid.
Yeah, because I mean, $40 an hour. That's at least a couple $100 for that short
How
amount
long?
of time.
How long was he there for?
From 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. I mean 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. So
Uh,
about 6 hours,
6 hours times four is
24. So about $240. Dang, I would definitely got that before I left.
yeah.
But then again, if those rules never change and it's the same every night, that would, that would actually be too bad. I mean, $40 an hour, bro.
I mean, you just can put it on your noise canceling headphones. Hopefully, it goes away. You know, I don't know if we could do that, or the things can go through the headphones.
Probably not. But the rules seem very straightforward. It's just keep. It's probably mad stressful. You mess up one of these times, you're just done for.
Yeah.
But overall, I think I enjoyed reading that story.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
But we'll have to see which story we decide to read next.
Yep.
But
Well,
that
I
was
think that
from. Oh, sorry. Continue. I
I think that's that for today's videos.
think that's good. We did a solid 3 videos. I mean, 3 stories.
Well, we're calling it a grueling night since it's 10 p.m. for us. Um,
We hope you guys enjoyed listening to stories with us.
and we hope that you come back for more.
Peace out.
Li- uh, Put in the comments if you want what type of
Stories you enjoy listening to.
yeah. Well, goodbye for now.